All right, we are live. I'm Emily Lair, and welcome to Ask Me Anything, where you can ask any questions that you like to real hygienists that work for Aspen Dental. So we have Kaylee Wilson, who works at the Arcadia office in Phoenix. And we also have Selena, who works in the Mesa Riverview office. Kaylee, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Hi, my name is Kaylee. So I have been a hygienist since 2018, and I have pretty much been with Aspen almost that entire time. I am a mom to two wonderful boys, as well as I've been in the process of working and going back, trying to get back into school to just, make sure that I have all those, the rest of my life planned ahead.
Oh, I love that. I didn't know that. That's really exciting. Good.
Yes.
Selena, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Selena. I've been practicing since 2019. I just moved into a new apartment, so I'm excited about that. Lots of transitions, new job with Aspen, so exciting things.
That's very cool. So Selena, you started with Aspen just a few months ago, is that right?
Yeah, a little over a month ago.
Great. Well, I'm going to ask you the question that we always start out with, and then as questions start rolling in, I'll ask those as well. But tell me what made you choose Aspen? Because it sounds like you're doing something else first. And then, this is a market where you can really choose what you want. So why was it Aspen for you?
So I temped for about 6 months. That was not my thing. I found a private practice office that I liked for the time being. Kind of didn't end up working out, but I had a couple of friends that worked for Aspen for a year or two now, and they really loved it. I've heard only good things, so I had to check it out myself.
That's awesome. I definitely was the same way, got brought in by some wonderful friends. So that's really awesome to hear. Now, Kaylee, I know a little bit of your story because you and I work together, but why don't you share with everyone else what made you choose Aspen? Because I know you had a lot of choice too.
I did. So, all honesty, I needed that stability in my life. I needed to know where I was getting up, what hours I was working. And unfortunately, the practice that I was working for prior to coming to Aspen, I didn't have that stability. Even though I was, Monday through Friday, these are the hours, there was not always those hours available to me. And so I needed to make sure that I was going to be able to take care of my family and, and make a life for myself and enjoy my career. And so coming to Aspen, I was able to get all of my hours and be able to take care of my family very well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I remember when you were coming in, part of what was going on, they weren't giving you your hours, right? You just weren't getting, you were promised X amount of hours, but the reality was not that.
Correct. Yes. So I was promised, at the time about 30 hours or so a week. And it was a lot of, unfortunately, really long lunches or a call on my way to work. Hey, we're actually going to have you come in at noon today instead. So knowing that I was going to have a set schedule every single day and not kind of have those surprise extended lunches and those surprise cut hours was extremely important in my decision to come over to Aspen and take that leap into something different.
That's awesome. So your hours are guaranteed now. Nobody's calling you on your way to work, asking you to extend your lunches. In fact, if I didn't know better, I would say you probably can even run into overtime if you wanted to.
Yes, there were some times that, I definitely took advantage of those overtime opportunities, and it benefited the offices that I was in. It benefited myself and my family. And now I have the opportunity that if we need to, there's still some overtime opportunities, but I am able to, make sure that I'm leaving on time to pick my kids up and there's no worries about, being forced into overtime.
Yes, you get your work-life balance for sure. I do remember when you first started though, you were like ready to pay off the student loan, kind of those extra Saturdays here and there.
Yes.
So that's really cool. That's really, really, it's neat that you can kind of go either way with that to your liking. So we always get questions about how your day goes or what it's like an average day at Aspen. Can you talk to us a little bit about the patients that you see, the type of patients you see, and what your schedule looks like?
Absolutely. So my schedule generally does stay fairly busy. I do have enough control over my schedule where I do see 1 hour patients. There's no 30-minute pro fees or, double column. I see one column and that's it for my, my regularly scheduled. And so I'll go in and I look at my schedule and I have those 1 hours, which, can include a digital scan of the teeth, the hygiene appointment, whether it's a pro fee or perio maintenance or a half mouth SRP, as well as sometimes we'll do 4 bite wings and a periodic exam in that time. So I'll go in, I see about 5 patients in the morning, and then we have our lunch, and then 4 or so patients in the afternoon. And then throughout that, we do have new patients. So I'll see some additional exams, but there's no additional hygiene kind of thrown into there. It's just doing those new patient exams and educating and, helping those patients understand what their periodontal disease is. I would say in our office, we do have a fairly strong perio preference, which I would say most of our offices, because when I first started, I traveled around a little bit, but we have a very strong perio, anywhere from moderate to advanced. So we see a lot of those patients that haven't been seen in, 5, 10, 15 years. I had a 23 years today, and I was like, let's get this.
Oh, you're making me jealous. As a hygienist, that is a fun one. And what if, like, on a patient with this 23 years, what happens if you need more time?
Absolutely. So I have full control over my schedule. That's probably one of my favorite things, is that even though, of course, my office managers and my front office staff do try to help me make sure that things are maintained and scheduled correctly, I have full control. So if I go into that patient and I look and I'm like, every single tooth just has huge chunky pieces of radiographic calculus and there's all 6-millimeter pockets, I'll let my staff know, I'm like, hey, can I go ahead and get 90 minutes for this half mouth? And if I only get 1 quad done in an hour for whatever reason, I can go ahead and reschedule that second quad and break those up into 4 1-hour appointments if the treatment plan calls for it.
Very good. I love that. It makes it really easy because you can do what you need to get patients healthy. Nobody's asking or pressuring you to do anything but get people healthy. I love it.
Absolutely.
So Selena, when you were in training, you were probably figuring out how much time you wanted for everything. How did you determine that?
I feel like Kaylee's such a good role model. I really learned from just like watching their flow. They have a really good flow at that office. I feel like another thing that I really love about Aspen is all the assistants are super, super helpful. They're not just like doctor's assistants, they're hygienist assistants too. You get help probing, they'll help you if you need a scan or x-rays. So that's been really awesome for me to experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a place where people work together. So I absolutely love hearing that. I love hearing that it's still that way too, because I haven't been to Mesa Riverview in a while. So I'm glad to hear that everybody's still very welcoming. And I know they are in Kaylee's office as well. Very, very cool. So we have a lot of, I'm jumping around a little bit, but running into one of the questions that we just got. What are benefits like? I know Selena, you were talking about your other hygiene job. So what, as far as benefits, have you noticed? And I know you're probably new, so some of them might be different, but like health and things like that, which ones are you really using, or which are the most important to you?
That I'm still like in the process of figuring out. Kaylee knows because I texted her about it. So I'm still kind of figuring that out. But I am relieved to have those options there because my private practice, they didn't offer that. And I was with them for about a year. They promised, at this time we're going to have insurance for everyone. And it didn't happen. So then it was like, okay, I need to find somewhere with health insurance. I'm a healthcare provider. It kind of makes sense. So I really appreciate that it's offered.
That's really awesome. Yes, there's definitely health benefits. And I know Kaylee is a good person for you to be writing to, because she taught me about benefits that I didn't even know about. So Kaylee, take it away. Tell us about some of those benefits.
So of course, absolutely having health insurance, because again, that was something that I didn't necessarily have with my last position. And then we have I feel like amazing retirement options through T Rowe Price, not only do we get to contribute, but after a certain period of time, which is very short period of time, you don't have to be with us very long. Actually, Aspen starts to contribute as well. And the contributions that Aspen match are very significant. So they've made a very big difference in my contributions into my future and my ability to be able to not be worried about retirement. As well as, you know, we have a health savings plan. And one of the things that I utilized most when I first started was our childcare health savings plan. So we can actually have the money taken out of our paychecks tax-free and put into a separate account that I could use that to pay my childcare and not get taxed on it. So that was a huge thing for me to be like, I have this extra money and I'm not having those extra taxes taken out on it.
Yeah, it's like saving 25%. You taught me this.
Mm-hmm.
Saving 25% on your childcare. I was like, oh, we have that. And you're like, oh yeah. She was the queen of the benefits. She had them all out. She was using all of them. I loved it. And you guys missed my favorites, which tells me that you guys may be harder workers than me. I'm all about that PTO.
Oh,
That too, yeah.
And that you can actually use and not have to use when everybody else goes on vacation. And then
yes,
they're always like a nice surprise, like those Memorial Days and things pop up and you're like, oh yeah, I don't work today and I get paid.
yes, I love this year was great. 4th of July fell on a Sunday. So then we had the 5th of July off. So it was an awesome 3-day weekend this year, which definitely made my day.
Yes, and they're paid, which matters so much. I think right after the first 3 months, you start getting paid for every,
Yes.
for what is it, 6 holidays a year, and then you get your vacation too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite part. And that it keeps growing with you. So that definitely, you guys just work harder than me. You were all about the stuff that made sense, but I was all about the party. You guys are just more responsible. That's all.
Oh, it gets used. It gets used, I promise. But right now it's been all about the work.
I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about how you determine what you do with patients. There's been some questions about does Aspen require you to do like have a perio protocol for you?
Sure. So, I mean, we do have some, recommendations, but as a hygienist who runs my hygiene business within my office, I definitely get to set my perio protocols. What, based on, probing depths and clinical attachment loss and recession and, how often are we seeing our PMTs on 3 months or on 4 months? Is this truly a gingivitis, or is it actually just an early localized periodontal patient who needs those localized SRPs? So I have full control, and I also have really amazing doctors who stand behind me in my recommendations, which I think is probably the most important thing that I have, is that it's, if I'm recommending localized scaling and root planing, my doctor is right there behind me. So even though there are general recommendations, we really do, I'd say, focus and follow the updated American Dental Association guidelines for periodontal disease and how we treatment plan and take care of those.
Yes, you have full clinical autonomy. There's no big Aspen telling you like, this is how you treat patients. So I love hearing that. And I love for other people to know that too, because that's a misconception sometimes, is that, oh, Aspen tells you how to treat your patient. It's like, maybe the AAP gives you some guidelines, but that's really just dental hygiene. So
yes,
aside from that, and that's really just the guidelines for our practice. Aspen doesn't really do that. Selena, sorry, I messed up for a second there. Selena, tell us about your support with your doctors. What was that different from your experiences before? Is it similar?
Yes, very, very different. So Kaylee kind of summed it up well. It's the fact that you have that autonomy. It's, it's your license, it's your patients that you're taking care of, and also your doctors standing behind you. So that was really refreshing to me, because at my office, it was like, oh, just do this and it's like, no, this patient needs treatment. So it's really nice that I have a doctor that stands right behind me and kind of reiterates, yes, you do still need this treatment. And yeah, I really like having that support. It's good.
It's really awesome. I know, and I worked for a private practice before, and I had some good experiences, and I'm never going to dog that practice. But I will share that it was confusing sometimes, especially because I was a newer hygienist, because I would go in and this patient would be looking very similar to one I'd seen earlier this week. One's a prophy, one's an SRP, but they're the same. They're very similar. Like their probing depths, their
Mhm.
resections, everything was really similar. The bone loss was similar, but we were doing different things. And it was kind of based on like what else was being treatment planned and, emotions behind it. And it was super confusing. And I just remember as a new graduate being really confused and being like, I don't think I understand what I'm doing. So
Mhm.
I love at Aspen that they really give, like Kaylee was saying, like it's your business and you really are in charge of knowing this and owning it, and you're supported. Um, but ultimately you're the one making those decisions. Like you're saying, it's your license. So I really, really like that. I think that's uniquely Aspen. And I think it's a misconception that people often think that Aspen does it differently than that, or that Aspen's telling you what to do, which it isn't at all. So, um,
Absolutely. I know the one other thing that I didn't say is that a lot of times we hear, or as I was getting ready to graduate and first kind of entering hygiene practice, you hear a lot about, unfortunately, treatment planning to insurance and
mm,
that, or I've done a lot of bloody prophies today. And so that is one thing. I haven't done a single bloody prophy since I've been with Aspen. And it's really just taking care of my patients and giving them what they need, and then letting my office manager figure out how we can get them this treatment.
yeah, they'll give them coupons. They'll write out. It's up to them. they,
Mhm.
they'll do whatever they can to make it make sense for the patient, but they're not going to compromise the care and say, "Oh, can we just do something else?"
Yeah.
When the patient needs what you said. So that's really, really awesome. Selena, tell me about ordering. Did you always get to order your own supplies, or was that an Aspen thing?
No, I had to beg for something one time at my last office. I'm like, now I first order that I came into Aspen, they're like, all right, what do you need? Like, here's the budget, play with it. Kaylee kind of showed me how to look at that. And I really like doing that because I'm the one who's going to be using those things and knowing what's in stock and things like that. So I like having that autonomy in that function as well.
Yeah, and it's so much that's on that formulary. Like you can go crazy. Like if there's a kind of fluoride that you just absolutely love, go for it. May not be the smartest thing for your business, and it may not make a difference for your patient, but if that's what you want, you can have it. And I always like that though, that you could choose it for yourself and pick out what you want for your patients. I think that's really cool because I remember having the assistant ordered for me. So what I would have to do is like when I really needed something, like beg, bring Starbucks in, like take her to lunch, so
Oh,
I could get a piece of that budget without her telling on me. Or for things like that you needed. It wasn't like I was
yeah.
right and left. It wasn't being a diva. I literally just things I wanted for my patients. Like, can I get some chloroxidine out here?
If
Yeah.
I just get the prophy paste.
Please, just the prophy paste. Kaylee, to that, I know that you are running your own practice now. Can you talk to us? I know we talked a little bit about it being a business, but what does that mean to you, and what does that mean for your patients?
So there is that business aspect of, making sure that you're being financially responsible with your budget and that you are, but it's taking care of my patients. I'm able to, like I said, go in and, make my treatment plans, make my recommendations, and have my doctor stand behind me for those. But then I'm also responsible for, the supply ordering for hygiene, and making sure that I'm also, following up on those patients who maybe didn't show up to their appointment today to try to get them in, because, of course, there's that business aspect of wanting to make sure that we're getting them taken care of, but as well as giving that patient care that they deserve, and being like, hey, we missed you today. when can we get you in? Let's get you in for a late appointment today. Or we have, I know we missed you for your scaling and root planing. Let's get you in on our high infection Fridays and really get that infection taken care of and handled.
And to your point, it's more of taking care of the patient, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You're saying, a lot of these people that have, perio, strong perio that really needs to be addressed, and you're helping them make those changes that we got there somehow. So how are we you out of it and keep you healthy? And to your point, and that's the biggest thing about dentistry, is that when you're doing the right things for the patients, there's also a business that follows, and all you have to do is take care of them.
Yes, all you have to do is treatment plan appropriately. If we are giving them what they need, the business side and of course those financial sides, those come hand in hand together. So if we're taking care of our patients and treatment planning absolutely what they need, then the business aspect comes very easy.
Yeah. I know that sometimes they call it like running your own, like dental hygiene, like you're running your own practice within the practice at Aspen. Mm-hmm. You're
Absolutely.
running a perio and practice. So a lot of freedom there, a lot of autonomy.
Yes.
Selena, how different has that been for you? Is that different than what you've seen before, or is it pretty similar? What's your experience?
Yes. And another comment I wanted to make was just about comprehensive care. So you see these patients that come in as a new patient exam. Oh, I have this one tooth on the upper left. And then it's like, well, you also have periodontal disease, and you also need, crowns and fillings, extractions and things. And I had a really good patient experience the other day. She's like, I've never had an office look at everything before and tell me that I even have perio or anything like that. And so they're just, she's going in for an emergency, they're fixing that and sending her on her way. So I really, really love that about Aspen, is we're treating the patient as a whole.
Yeah, and they're not just returning for the next emergency, because that people into saying, oh, dentistry is expensive. If every time you come in, it's an emergency. If you can prevent emergencies, you prevent the next expense. That's really awesome. I love to hear that. And I love to hear how the patients get excited about it too, when they actually get treated for more than, or get told about more than the emergencies they're there for. It's a really good point. We're switching gears just a little bit with this question, but and Selena, you'll be able to tell me a little bit about it. What types of technology do you have at Aspen?
I'm in a meeting right now.
Is somebody going live?
My roommate just got home.
She's going live with you.
She really had to tell me something.
Oh, I love it. No worries.
We're very close. Okay, sorry, what was the question? Technology?
Yeah, tell me a little bit about the technologies that you're seeing in the office.
So I just did a really amazing laser training, actually. Got trained on the Gemini. It was a wonderful training, first of all, but it's a very cool laser. I really like that thing. And then it's not technology, but the fact that we have arrestin, again, that was something I wanted to do at my old office and was not able to do. So just utilizing those adjunctive cares.
Yeah, and being able to have really adjunctively whatever you want and need. I mean, if you like arrestin, you get arrestin. If you want Atrox, whatever it is that you like to treat your patients, go for it.
Yeah.
What about you, Kaylee? What kind of technologies do you like in the office?
Oh, my favorite thing in the entire world is truly the iTero machine.
Oh, you're Becky's hero.
I am an iTero fanatic. And so I know some of our offices are getting a new digital scanner called the Trios eventually, and we are eventually getting one. But right now we use an iTero digital scanner, which for people who don't know what it is really an intraoral camera that it takes something like 50,000 pictures in the span of just a few minutes. And it stitches all those pictures together into a 3D model of the teeth on the computer, which then can be used for, we can match every scan together and show what changes have we had. We have less inflammation. We're having more recession, more occlusal wear because you're grinding your teeth. We are able to look at where we're wearing, how hard are we biting. We have I like to call it a heat map, but it's called an occlusogram, which, it shows us where our patients are putting more forces. And then my favorite thing is clear aligners. So
Yes.
I actually had the opportunity to do my clear aligners with Aspen, which I think gave me just a whole new perspective on orthodontics and straightening and how orthodontics and clear aligners can actually affect periodontal disease. But I am an iTero fanatic. If I drag that thing with me everywhere I go in the office, and sometimes it drives people crazy.
I love it. But what does it do for the patients? I mean, it is.
Yeah. It just gives a different visual. We talk about x-rays so much, and we have the option to pull our radiographs up on the computer and show our patient, here's your bone loss, here's your cavity. But every single time we do one of those scans and then we put it next to our patient, they look at it and it's, oh my gosh, I didn't know my teeth looked like that. Oh my gosh, I've never seen that before. Or, oh, that's the tooth that's broken. Or, ooh, what is that? Or, oh my gosh, they're so crooked or so crowded. So it gives them that initial visual. And then as we are improving the oral health, they're able to visually see the changes, and it makes sense. The localized periodontal disease makes sense in 4 months or 3 months, however we're doing our recall. They can actually see those differences from one appointment to the next.
Yes, gone are the days of weird angles with a intraoral camera, or even worse, and we've all seen it, where like somebody's holding a mirror in a mirror and they're like, do you see that? You see that? Nobody sees out of that little mirror into the big mirror. They don't know what you're talking about. So it brings that sense of reality, like you're saying, and it gets patients to really see it, because some people hear and understand, some people see, some people feel, and they can really get a good visual. I absolutely love that.
Mm-hmm.
Had you worked with the iTero before, or was this your first time?
I had not. This was actually the first time. The previous office I worked for, they did do like CEREC crowns. So the machines are very similar with that digital scan, but of course in those cases it was very localized and it was only utilized by the dentist and the assistant. So this is something that is utilized on every single new patient that walks into the office, that of course has dentition, and then as well as every single recall appointment, every PMT, every prophy. My patients are getting an updated digital scan, and it's something that I'd never had the opportunity to use even in school.
Oh yes, I never saw it in school, never taught it when I was teaching in school. I did have it in a practice, but it was put in the corner. It was only for when the doctor was doing Invisalign. And it was like, I didn't even know what it did. I didn't know that I'd worked with it until I got trained in at Aspen. And I'm like, oh yeah, we had this in the corner. I wasn't allowed to like breathe near it because it was expensive.
Yes.
No story. This is a fact. Selena, what was it like? Had you worked with one before? Or was this your first time working with iTero?
No, yeah, kind of same as Kaylee. It's the assistants use it. They use it for crown preps or things like that. And I was glad to actually be able to use it. And Kaylee showed me the cool features, the heat map and all the good stuff. So I did a couple scans yesterday where I could do the before and after with the Invisalign or the motto and clear aligner therapy. And people are able to actually see that difference. And Kaylee told me seeing is believing, and I kind of love that saying because it's true. A lot of people are visual learners, so I really like that we have that to utilize.
I love it. And how was the training for you? Because this was a new technology. So how were you able to learn it?
I don't know. I like video games, so I thought it was cool. I'm like kind of looking at both screens and multitasking. So I don't know. I thought it was cool. I liked it.
You're like, I've already got it. So they will train you on the new technologies, though. You're not just thrown out to trying to figure it out. You got some time when you were doing your training. Let's talk a little bit about that too. So you were lucky enough to be trained by Miss Kaylee. Can you talk a little bit about the training process and what it looked like, how long it was? And this process, by the way, goes for new graduates or seasoned hygienists that have been hygienists for 20 years. So do you want to talk just a little bit about that? Selena, kind of what you went through in your training?
Yeah. So Aspen has its own software, so that was helpful to kind of have the time to like learn that and practice with it before I'm just on my own with it. Because yeah, that can be tricky with software. I'm not the best with tech, so that was good. And then you kind of start off more observing, And then you kind of slowly start to dip your toes in and you see the new patients. And then by the end, you're kind of running the schedule. But then throughout that, you're doing these online modules, and that actually was very informative and educational as well. So that was nice.
Yeah, and with those online modules, you're actually doing it at the same time, right? With other hygienists who are training nationwide.
Yeah.
So you get to meet a few people from, well, we have 900 offices, so
Yeah,
it can
everywhere.
be in almost any state. It's just kind of a neat thing because you get like a little network of people from
Yeah,
there that work
exactly.
with you. So very cool. Kaylee, chat with us about your training. Like, what's your training motto? What are your goals for the people that you train?
My goal for every person that I train is for you know, when I worked with Selena and with the hygienist that I'm working with now and the other ones, is to be able to, again, take control of your hygiene business, to your hygiene patients before you leave the office. I want to make sure that you are fully understanding everything that we're doing, why we treatment planned this way and why not this way, why, you know, how do we use the iTero, how do we use our branded, our EPMS, our software for scheduling and smart schedulers to make our you know, our schedule as efficient for us as possible, as well as understanding, you know, all those modules. There is so much information. We have so much technology, like you've talked about. We have the iTero. My office has a CBCT machine, so how do we use those? You know, just everything to make sure that every single piece is covered and that we have an understanding, and then to be that resource once you've left, to, you know, be like, call me, text me, what do you need, how can I help you to continue to be successful and continue to learn,
Oh,
you know,
she's giving
while
you the
you
heart.
started.
Sorry to interrupt.
Hearts.
She was giving you the heart. I have a feeling that means that she has called and texted you because right as
Yes.
she was like, oh yeah. Oh, so
Yes,
has Kaylee been a great resource for you? It looks like, Selena.
Definitely, definitely. And I was the only hygienist at my last practice too. So just even being able to have those conversations about, you know, perio or anything hygiene, it's just nice to have something, a resource and a friend to reach out to.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Kaylee, talk to us about the other support that you get. So I know you get the support of a trainer, but there's some other people around that do some support for a hygienist as well and help you all out. So can you chat a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So, of course, we have all of our office staff. We have our amazing dentists who are there behind us for anything that we need office wise, as well as our office managers. But then outside the office, we have an amazing territory manager who
You do.
who is always there anytime. Even today, I was texting her, hey, just so you know, this happened. In case something comes up, this is, you know, this piece of equipment was down today, so wanted to let you know. And then she was able to reach out to the representative from who's, you know, the support tech for that, to be like, hey, just, you know, I let them know we're going to get on this, you know, getting this fixed. So I have Becky, and then of course we have our regional managers, and we have, you know, there's just so much support from above. And I know, of course, with this last year and a half being crazy, that we haven't had the gatherings of hygiene and hygiene support, but, you know, when we're not in such a lockdown social distance situation, you know, they bring us together to also have that support from the other hygienists within our area, within our territory. And, you know, our vice president of hygiene support comes down and has dinner with us, and, you know, our division directors, everyone is there to make sure that anything that we need is made available to us, and to find a ways to make that possible.
Absolutely. And you're speaking a little bit to the career trajectory too, long term. In your mind, where do you see yourself? There's so much with Aspen that you can do as a company. And I mean, you can do clinical forever, and we have people that do that and love it, and that would make everyone's life easy. But sometimes there's other things that you want to do down the road too. Have you taken any thought into what you're looking for with Aspen down the road, or period down the road? Because Aspen will support you too.
Yeah, no, I absolutely have. so when I did my hygiene on board training, or my HOP training, which is our new hire training, at the time we got to go out to a different location rather than doing it online. And we had just had Jan LeBeau start with us as the West Side Vice President of Hygiene. And in joking, and not really joking, but really in an honest way, I said, I want your job. How do I get it? And, so she gave me the advice, and that's actually, my back to school right now is I'm working on its organizational leadership. So basically business management, but, short term, I want Becky's job. I want to be the territory manager when I know Becky is going to be able to move up. But, long term, I love Aspen so much that I see myself here in 15, 20 years. I don't have plans of going anywhere.
Yeah, the growth is there too. Like if you want to stay clinical, you can. If you want to, you started out floating, and then you were you an assistant too? Yeah.
No, it was kind of the associate, and
yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah, so it was the associate, and then my lead position kind of all happened at the same time. And so I was thankful that I actually got to take the lead position. But I started out floating. I traveled, even though I had a consistent schedule, and I knew where I was going every day, but I traveled from office to office. I worked any 5 or 7 offices everywhere from, Prescott Valley all the way down to Tucson, depending on where they needed me at the time.
Yeah. So you did that, and then you started leading your own office, and now you're long-term looking at being your territory manager of hygiene support. And there's sometimes that's the really great thing. I think we might have froze you for a second, Kaylee, but that's the really great thing about Aspen is I'm sure Becky's doing things for you to help you prepare for that, so that long-term you can reach that goal. So that's something that we do at Aspen. When someone's interested in it, it's great to go to school, but you don't necessarily have to, because
Right.
that you'll get different little projects that you want to do. I know when I was territory manager, Becky would run the calls. Becky would look at different things with me so that she could kind of get a little bit of an idea of what the role was like and some of that experience under her belt to see if it was right for her. You're getting those same things, because I know how much Becky loves you and takes good care of you.
Yes, she does.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, Selena, I know it is super, super early on to ask you, because I know you're 2 months in with us, but have you given any thought to what you're thinking about long-term, or is there anything really interesting that you've seen that hygienists do at Aspen that you didn't realize that hygienists did?
You guys kind of just touched on the stuff I'm starting to learn, but I don't know. I plan on doing clinical as long as I can.
Which is fantastic.
I do have scoliosis, so it's probably not going to be a long-term thing. I'll probably have to kind of rethink. So it's nice to know that I'll have some opportunities. But yeah, we'll see. For now, I really love clinical. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'll tell you, we have hygienists in all parts of the business. I mean, there are hygienists that are recruiters. I always tell that story. Her name's Charlotte. She's actually out of Mesa, and she started out as a dental hygienist with us. Then she became a TMHS, Territory Manager of Hygiene Support. So that's the people that support these two on a local level. Then she became a Director of Dental Hygiene. Then she went over to the operations side and became a director, kind of like your guys, McKinsey, right? So she became a director of operations. And then she said, you know what I really want to do is travel around in my RV across the country, but I still want to work for Aspen. So she became a recruiter.
Oh,
That's all one person, and those are just a few of the jobs at Aspen. There's still so many, and I think that's what I love about dental hygiene in Aspen is they always see dental hygienists at the center of any new role, any new position that there is, any new thing. Like when they brought out Moto, which is our aligners. There are hygienists that are helping with that. There are hygienists that help in our marketing. There are hygienists that help with L&D, learning and development. So there's any end of the business, there's a hygienist somewhere. So I think that's really exciting, especially when I look at the future of dental hygiene. I think that's something that definitely gets me out of bed every morning. And I'm sure it does you guys too, being a part of something like that, something bigger. Of course, I think your patients are number one too, but it's nice there is something for you down the road too, if you choose. And if you don't, that's even better, right? Or not better, but that's great too. Like that's, the future is totally yours. I'm going on a bandstand here because I'm super passionate about it. So I'll get back to the questions. This is a real one and I want you to answer it to your comfort level. But we always get asked, and I know Kaylee and I talked about this a little earlier. Tell me to your comfort level about the pay.
Selena, do you want to go first?
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. I think the biggest like incentive for me was, like I said earlier, the insurance and just having that available to me. But the hourly is set, you're going to get your hours. That's huge. And then, yeah, I'm still kind of learning about the system. So Kaylee can take it from here.
So
Yeah.
Kaylee, tell us about the system.
The system, I mean, Aspen does a really great job taking care of us. So not only are we, hourly compensated, but there is that gross profit. There is that incentive. So I was telling Emily that initially when I was first leaving hygiene school, I had told all my friends and my hygiene friends, this is how much money I would ideally love to make. And I am making that plus some. So Aspen has made my, financially has, made me very comfortable to be able to again, take care of my family, pay my bills. And, we have vacation coming up. So.
Oh, where are you going?
Well, so it is actually not planned until next year because of course, all this craziness, but we are taking the kids to Disney World.
Oh my goodness, that's a big one.
Yes. And and it's going to be a big trip. It's not, a little couple of days. I think we're looking at about a week. So, and without Aspen, it wouldn't be possible. So.
Well, Aspen appreciates you too. You do a wonderful job for us. But so you get a strong hourly rate, guaranteed hours, and then a gross profit on top of that. Plus
Absolutely.
the benefits that Selena was talking about. So
yes,
all of that
plus amazing
combined,
benefits.
You're a happy camper. Sounds like. Well, that I want to see pictures of this Disney thing afterwards. And also
there'll be pictures.
Disney freak. Well, thank you guys for answering that one. I know it gets a little personal sometimes, and I know it depends on the area too. For example, somebody in Portland's going to make a lot more than somebody in Alabama because of what the market is, but you always get a strong rate for the market. So very, very cool. So we've gone through a little bit about technology. We've talked about money. Let's also look at, this is a tough one, but we get asked it every time. So sorry, Kaylee, I'm going to start with you. I want to hear what you like the most and what you like the least about Aspen Dental.
Oh,
I know.
Honestly, 100% the most is that autonomy. If I didn't have the ability to let my patients know about their disease and educate them and treat them the way that I truly feel is necessary, I don't know if I would be as happy because again, I've been told, when I first started at other places, like recommending that scaling and root planing and, unfortunately being told, let's just do the prophy one more time. And next time we'll catch them up. And I've never been asked, just do the prophy one more time. It's always been, nope, this is the treatment plan that your hygienist is recommending. Let's get you back to healthy. Let's get you back to a stable condition. That way we can, we can move forward and maintain our teeth and our gums and our bone for the rest of our lives. What I like the least, I mean, honestly, right now, there's nothing that I don't like right now, except for maybe my drive, but that's a personal choice. I do live a little further. I live a little closer now than I did before, but gosh.
I know. And you said you wouldn't leave that office for the world. You're like, I
wouldn't.
We would move you closer if you wanted to at this point.
I joke that if my doctor who right now is helping opening a new office. She's opening another office, and so we've had our associate dentist with us, who is really amazing. But I joke that if my lead doctor left, I would follow her wherever, to whatever, any Aspen that she went to. If she left time, I would be like, nope, find me a way, get me to that Aspen. That's the one I want to be at, because we have such a great working relationship. But all of the doctors do. I've worked with several, throughout the East Valley, and it's just been so amazing. There's not a lot that I can say that I think I don't like, honestly.
Yes. You have such an amazing doctor owner, and Dr. Sung, that I think
Yes.
his leadership helps lead to some really amazing doctors in the practice. So, and just to answer that for people too, all of Aspen Dental practices are run by dentists that own them, and practice that's Dr. Sung. And I believe some of the practices, the doctors that are in them own pieces of the practice as well, right?
Yes.
I always like to say that because people always think that Aspen is owned by some person somewhere, but it's actually Aspen Management, which is like who I work for, ADMI. They don't own a single practice. Well, they do actually own a few that are just opening, but they don't run practices. They really are just providing services for practices. So getting them good rates on supplies.
Yes.
Like this, supporting the hygienist, getting things fixed, doing IT, those things, where the actual practice, and that's where you get your autonomy, is run by the dentist and the dentist that owns the practice. So very cool.
Yes.
I always like to explain that. Sorry, I jumped off for a second there. Selena, I haven't let you off the hook yet. You gotta tell us your favorite thing about us. And I know it's only been a couple months, and I don't give you too much pressure. And your favorite thing, but please don't let your least favorite thing be me.
So just my team. I really fallen in love with my team, and even the team at Arcadia. Just the general support from everyone and having people to reach out to. Oh, I've been thinking this whole time. I can't think of anything. I don't know, the squeaky floors.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh, Mesa
are an
Riverview.
issue.
Yeah, Mesa Riverview does have
Arcadia too.
Arcadia does. I actually got snuck up on by our doctor today, and I don't know how she managed it, because our floors are so loud. I don't know how my doctor managed to sneak up on me.
We're gonna have to talk to whoever's waxing. Because when she said that, I was like, you know what? I remember that at Riverview, I turn around and it sounds like I'm on a basketball court. Okay, we finally came up with a good one.
Yeah.
I would say personally, my favorite thing, and it's just part of what I do, and what's always interested in me, is that there's so much for hygienists. I always got frustrated in practices when I realized, like, me walking in, that was the highest position I was ever, like, not highest, but the only position I was ever going to hold was the one that I walked in, and there wasn't really anything else I like to try new things, right? And there was nothing else to even like look for in 10, 20 years. It was just like, this chair that you're in is the chair you're going to be in till the end if you stay here. And that was hard for me. I like knowing that hygienists are taken really seriously as a part of the business in Aspen. So for me, that's absolutely the favorite. And I had a least favorite, and let me think of what it was. It was goofy. I know that. In the practices, it's all the sugar in the back, because I never lose no matter how many diets I was on. But you know what? I'm not in the practices now, and I still haven't lost any weight, so I can't.
Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to think what. I think the part that's hard for me, and I think it's my role, is when people kind of lump you in with every DSO. So they assume things about you, like, oh, I think like having to kind of demystify what it is probably the thing that I don't like the most. So, people thinking that, they're telling you how to practice, that they're giving you 10 minutes to see patients or half an hour to see patients, and none of it's really true. So I think that kind of stuff, which is, I don't know, old mythology. I don't think it's really about Aspens per se, as just about every dental service organization. That's kind of how I see it. But I think that's what I like the least is that every day you're kind of overcoming that, especially with me, because I talk to a lot of people who are just now getting to know us. And I'm grateful for that opportunity to help stuff. But I think that would probably be what frustrates me the least. She is a mama there, so she got her boys in the background.
Yes, sorry. I'll be
that's
right
okay.
back.
They can come say hi if they need to.
My roommate said hi.
Yeah.
Going on.
That's the great thing about Ask Me Anythings. They're real, and the people are real, and they have kids and they have families and they do things. So we've had toddlers, we've had cats, we've had roommates. Oh my gosh. So as a new person, for you, what has been the most different for you? I know you said benefits, but what do you see that's been just like the most different for you that you would try to explain to somebody who hadn't seen it, who hadn't been through this before?
Just the hygiene support and the comprehensive care. Those are so big for me as like my personal values. So that's probably the biggest difference I saw, which that's what I was looking for. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm so glad who was your buddy who sent you in?
Alicia and Stacy.
Oh my gosh.
They both work. So I'm like, all right, you guys have said so much good stuff. I gotta know.
They're both really awesome too. So that's awesome.
Yes, they are. People
know good people. So that's wonderful. So we are in our last little bit here. So I'll get you with my final question to keep true to our hour and let the boys go play in the pool. I was telling her, Kaylee, we're real. We've seen roommates, we've seen animals, we've seen toddlers. So that's just part of being a real hygienist, right? Oh my
yes.
God.
Yes.
Where's your other son, the one that told us about the water tasting?
Oh, that's this one. He's gotten so giant now.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That's a man.
I know. He just turned 11 this week, and no more that he likes the taste of the water that had the failed lead report at school. So
Kaylee was, and I know each other from way back because I had the pleasure of being one of her instructors, and so fabulous as a student that I really wanted her to work for Aspen, and I harassed her until she finally did. But that's how I know the son. So if anybody's wondering, like, why is she asking about her kids? So I'll ask you both the same question. I want one word to describe your experience at Aspen. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to think of it. I'm going to say inspiring, because I always try to give you guys a second. I feel like it's inspiring. I'm inspired by our patients. I'm inspired by all of our hygienists. And every time I do one of these, I get more inspired because you all start talking and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have the most amazing people ever. So I'm going to go with inspired. What about you, Selena? It looks like you have one.
Support. I probably said that like 8 times already, but it's just
it matters.
Having that like cushion of people and resources. So
support. I love that. No, that's wonderful. Kaylee, what about you? What's your word?
Definitely. Oh, are you there?
We're here.
Okay. We lost sound for a second. I lost sound. But definitely, honestly, phenomenal. This experience and everything that I've gotten from Aspen has just been so amazing. It is above and beyond anything that I think I ever thought that I could get. And they let my boys tired and swam out enjoy the end of our meeting.
Of course, we're real people having real fun, so that's okay. No, that's fantastic. Thank you guys so much. Hi boys. Thank you guys so much for taking your time and your time out to share with local hygiene students about Aspen Dental. We really appreciate it. We'll get this shared with everyone, and you guys have an awesome evening, and thank you so much for everything you do every day. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Aw. You guys have a great evening.
Thank you, you too.
Bye.
Bye.